Welcome to Lizards of the Toast, and here we have it. This is the post-Modern Horizons 3 budget mono black aggro, one of our toughest and favorite decks, and it has changed a lot. It is so ready to be laying out the big demon. So, is this dead as beta? It isn't. Is this a true budget competitive mono black aggro? It is. So let's get right into it. Let's look at our creature base and talk about it a little bit. We have the Archfiend's Vessel. It has lifelink. Irrelevant, kind of, really. When Archfiend's Vessel enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. Very nice. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have a look at that big flying demon. So we want to be creating a few of these, and it's all over for the opponent. We have Carrion Feeder, and this is probably one of the golden pigs of the deck. Carrion Feeder can't block. Sacrifice a creature, put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a wonderful sacrifice outlet there. And as we get into why, I will show you. Snarling Gorehound. Now, this is a recent card. It's 1 mana, 1/1 with Menace. That's pretty cool. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, surveil 1. That's pretty sweet. That allows us to put something in the graveyard like our Archfiend's Vessel to play it out of the graveyard as a big demon. There it is. So as a big demon. And we have 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Greedy Freebooter. Oh my goodness. This was almost the inspiration for Dead is Beta. This was the inspiration for this deck. I love this card. I think this should be a Pauper staple. People say, Some people like Shambling Ghast better. I do not because of the Scry 1. I love that. When Greedy Freebooter dies, scry 1 and create a treasure token. So we're creating treasures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here is a new card that I'm really excited about. It's 1 and a black. It's the Marionette Apprentice. It's a human artificer. It's a 1/2 and it has Fabricate. So when this creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it or create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So not only is this a great commander card, this is great for us because we have ways to put things into the graveyard and bring them out, put them back in. That sack outlet is huge for us. And that 1 life is really going to add up, especially if we have a few of these because there's 3 in the deck. And sometimes we actually will run 62 cards because outside of the deck, in and of itself, we have the Demon of Death's Gate. So you may pay 6 life and sacrifice 3 black creatures. So we have plenty of 1 mana fodder that we can sacrifice. And pay that 6 life and you get a 9/9 flyer with trample. Now coupled with our big demon that we're bringing out, especially if one of the creatures we sacrificed would be Archfiend's Vessel, and then we play it out of our graveyard as big demon, our opponent's going to have trouble. So having 1 of these in our hands is good. Having 2 of these in our hands is terrible. That's why there's only 2. But pretty much we are wanting to play this from outside the game. And by outside the game, I don't necessarily mean that. It's not like we're playing it from the sideboard. It's always in the deck. But it's almost treated like a companion in this because sometimes we sideboard cards and we'll always leave this demon in, and I'll show you why. So let's get into our instants and sorceries. So here is a new card that we are so excited about. We have Corrupted Conviction. As an additional cost to cast this spell, what do? You sacrifice a creature. So that will trigger with the Marionette Apprentice. That will put things in the graveyard. That will get us a chance to draw 2 cards to draw into what we need, which is a thing to put the big demon in. So as an additional cost, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. That's powerful, and it's 1 mana, and it's an instant. 1, 2, 3 of those. And as our other instant, we have Not Dead After All, and we're just running 2 of these. Now this is to save big demon. It could save our Demon of Death's Gate and return it to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. Or even, this could be good just to use as a recursion to hit something back again, to sacrifice it and do the 1 damage, to maybe put like a counter on Carrion Feeder. So Deadly Dispute is 1 and a black, and it's pretty much the same card, but you create a treasure token. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or a creature. So we will have plenty of treasure tokens to sacrifice, and we'll have plenty of creatures, but this one gives us the option, and it creates the treasure token. So we have 1, 2 of those. Now here we have Unearth getting into our sorceries. Return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. So that's mostly going to be anything we sacrifice to Carrion Feeder, and then hit that with it again. And that is going to trigger our Marionette Apprentice. We can bring the Archfiend's Vessel back, obviously, if we sacrifice it to play our Demon of Death's Gate. It's just very versatile for bringing something back with that 3 mana. And it's mostly, like I said, it's going to be one of our smaller creatures. But a Marionette Apprentice Unearthed, we get almost everything but the big demon. Everything in the deck. And like I said, a hard cut to this deck is Reggie, because Reggie's good. And we can return Reggie, but Reggie's also easily blockable. So that's the problem with Reggie, and he dies to Fatal Push. Running 4 of those Unearths there. So we have Persist. It's 1 in a black. Return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. So those are the guys we're wanting to do that with. If we needed our Apprentice back, we could always bring it back, but mostly these 2 are the ones we're going for. We're going for Big Demon. That's why we don't have certain cards that you saw in sometimes Dead is Better. Certain cards that we know and love that are in there are not in here, because this is a leaner, meaner, ready to rip and roll, or rock and roll. Or is it rip and roar? I don't know. Oh well. So we have Persist. So for 1 in a black, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. So we can awkwardly return one of our 1/1s. And like Archfiend's Vessel, if we have to pay the 1 in a black extra, doesn't matter to us because it's going to be sacrificed when it hits the battlefield, or, the counter will destroy it. But in any case, it's exiled first to create the big demon. So this will return it, create a big demon, which is a 5/5, and this -1/-1 counter is irrelevant in that instance. But Persist, like I said, generally, that's what we want to return. So we have 4 of those, and I'm waiting. I'm going to get a matching one. I promise. All right, so we have 4 Persist. Now, Unmarked Grave. This is great because this is Demon of Death's Gate. This is Archfiend's Vessel. So we have 8 Archfiend's Vessel. It's just that 4 of them cost 1 mana, and the other ones cost 1 in a black. So search your library for a non-legendary card, put that card into your graveyard. So this is giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Demon of Death's Gate. And in addition, like I said, with these 4, it gives us 2 play sets of Archfiend's Vessel. And if we need it, we can get a Marionette Apprentice and return it too. So that is great. Now, that being said, here's the kicker. The only thing to think about with Demon of Death's Gate, if we have to persist it, no, not persist, I'm sorry. Unearth does not work with Demon of Death's Gate, but it works with all of our other stuff. So let's say we play Demon of Death's Gate, and somehow somebody removes it. What we really would want to have in our hand is our instant Not Dead After All. But Not Dead After All is not, in my opinion, as good as Unearth in this deck because of the benefit of those 1-drops and those 2-drops. So, that being said, this is going after Demon of Death's Gate. Anything we might need, Marionette Apprentice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 of those. Now, we have Lava Spur Boots. Yeehaw! Doesn't Slick Shot wish he could wear these? But Slick Shot's Show Off will never be able to show these off because he already has haste. So equipped creature gets +1/+0, has haste in Ward 1. So early in the game, we want to get one of 3 of these in our hand. So one of 3 of our boots in our hand. We play it out so we can equip it. If we cheat in Big Demon, we can equip it and then attack with it on the turn we get it. So that's why these are in here. That's why there's 3 of them. And this gives us a step ahead because sometimes Dead is Beta didn't use these enough. And unfortunately, it caused Reggie and other things to be too slow on the draw. But this doesn't help Reggie not be blocked. See, I've really tested this deck out, opposed to the mono red prowess with green I showed you guys yesterday. This one's been tested out. And we are going to go ahead and do some gold fishing with this later. And I'll tell the story of the deck. Somebody said, tell a story about it. So we have a cast of characters that are trying to cheat death and create big demons to get fancy boots. That's what we'll call it. So in our final card, we have 1 enchantment. We have 1 in a black. Chthonian Nightmare enters the battlefield. You get 3 energy counters. Pay X energy counters. Sacrifice a creature. Return Chthonian Nightmare to its owner's hand. Return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This is cool because it's something that sits there. It costs 2. But again, 3, we can return things to the battlefield 3 times, essentially, by paying X energy. So that's pretty good. And again, it's 1 in a black, so there's 1 of them. And it would probably be something that we'd sideboard if we needed to put some of our sideboard, which we will get into the sideboard right now. And again, we'll talk more about these interactions because they're really cool. So like, let's talk about the interactions a little bit. So let's say we're at turn 2. Okay. We have, we'll save it. You know what? I don't want to do this because I think that it'll be more fun if we do it randomly while gold fishing and I can explain it. We can talk about the mulligans. Because I think anybody wanting to get into Modern, this is the deck, man. Just like that mono red one, Ashley's Gleeful 8-whack deck. That and this deck are great to get into Modern, and you are spending less than a Modern Horizons bundle. Who wants to get a bundle for that price when you can get a real working competitive deck, which is what this is? And without further ado, let's talk about the sideboard. Now, this sideboard is going to change, but I have been coming across some Eldrazi's and some colorless cards. So we're using Surgical Extraction basically to eat fetch lands. Now here's a card, exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power. That can be one of our creatures. We do have a colorless servo token that we can create. It's a 1/1, so we can gain a life, but mostly this is to take out, if somebody plays a big boy or cheats out a big boy colorless creature, we can gain life equal to its power, and we exile that thing at instant speed. 1, 2, 3. All right, and to take out these pesky new planeswalking flipside cats like Ral, which is a great card, and Sorin, for 1 black, destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less, but destroy that creature if it has converted mana cost 4 or less instead of a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn. And with the way we're sacrificing stuff, it will be. So 1, 2, 3 Fatal Push. Now, we were running 4, but we want to stick in a couple Blood Chief's Thirst if we're coming up against those flipside planeswalkers, just for this reason. Destroy target planeswalker or creature, or destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less. If this spell was kicked, instead destroy target creature or planeswalker. No, not going to kick it, probably. But, again, it will take care of those pesky walkers. 2 of those. Now, this right here, any land that could produce colorless, this takes care of it. We can overload it, not generally doing that, but we have 1, 2, 3 of these. And I believe we may switch this out for something. I'm thinking Vexing Bauble maybe. And even, gosh, I was thinking like a couple of Reggies even. But right now we're running Pithing Needle. It seems to be working very good. We have 2 of those. So that is the sideboard, my friends. And thank you for joining me at Lizards of the Toast. And if anybody has any suggestions for the deck, go ahead. It'll probably be changing. And as always, there'll be a link to the deck on Moxfield in the description. Thank you so much. You guys have a good one. And remember, these budget decks, they don't really need much improvement. I even like that mono red one so much, I'm like, I'm going to optimize this. I guess you could slim down the mana base by adding fetch lands, but, for that negative space in the deck. But even then, just like this, like the deck seems to work well with the cheap make of it. Just like that red deck is really good, and it almost like denies good cards. Like it totally wants Valdarin Epic here over Ragavan. Definitely. I've play-tested Ragavan in place of it, and Ragavan sucks compared to Valdarin in that deck. But I digress. Thanks again for joining me for Mono Red. Oh, man, I did so good. All right, Mono Black Aggro on a Budget 2024 post Modern Horizons 3. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Donut Banjo.